Welcome to the Powered by Factum podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Fuller, and I'm here with Mr. Wade Borth once again. And Wade, today we're going to be talking about, Factum and if that's in your future as an agent. So obviously, people that have been listening to this know that we have an agency that we consider life insurance agents our actual clients. So we have an entire leadership team that their sole purpose is building systems, training and coaching, value add to life insurance agents to help them grow and scale into a big business. And the acronym that we came up with for Factum is focus on success, authentic leadership, compelling vision, training and coaching, unrelenting innovation, and being mutually owned. And so all of those go into what makes Factum so unique. And we've had a lot of insurance agents reach out to us, come join this mission that we're on to serve 1 million clients. And part of it is because the organization operation that we've built is so conducive to results for insurance agents. So let's talk about that today. And how do you know, if I'm an insurance agent, how do I know if Factum's a good fit for me?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me back on the podcast. I appreciate it. One of the things that we've talked about in our previous podcast before, again, there's so many avenues for success. And this is what I love about where we're going. In like your vision married with my vision, we came together and said, hey, we can grow this for what an agent for whatever stage that they are in their life and their career. And so some of the things that we talk about and we've starting to see just from having some success or a lot of success doing these things with agents is that they all have very similar characteristics when they're looking at Factum. And it probably really starts with this idea of having a compelling vision, right? And it really comes back down to who do we want to be and who can we grow into? And is the organization, in this case, is Factum there to support that and what we can do? And so I'm super excited about what we can help agents do in their lives and really be what they can bring to Factum. And this win idea has to always be in the forefront. And that's why what I see and what I've experienced in just my lot of years in the business is that I don't see a lot or any organizations that are trying to do this at the scale that we're trying to do it at. So that brings me a high level of excitement and expectation of success that I haven't seen in a long time, especially since when I look around the industry, nobody else is doing this type of thing. And so there are certain characteristics that agents have that are part of our organization right now, and it really starts with how do they bring value to their clients, right? One of our favorite books that we read, we'll be reading in, I believe, February, is The Go-Giver. And what does that mean? What does it mean to you to be a go-giver, Kyle? Maybe you can shed a little light on that.
Yeah, to me, a go-giver, and that is one of the core books that we recommend for all of our Factum agents, is someone that's always just looking to add more in value to every human interaction they're going to have outside of what kind of commission or compensation they're going to receive. Go-givers are just always looking to add the highest and best value, no matter the outcome. That's just the way they're built and they're programmed and they want to live their life. We tend to attract those types of people because that's who we are. That's the culture we've built here. That's the community we have. It is just a community of go-givers, people who just want to give and give because they love giving, not necessarily because what's in it for me or what am I going to get out of this relationship. Now, at the end of the day, it's got to be win, right? It cannot be 100% in, 0% on the other side. We don't do 50-50s here either. It's 100 all times. That to me is what a go-giver is.
Yeah. And why there's so much truth to that is just, I see in this industry a lot, or even just in life, not so much in the industry, but so many people want to take a withdrawal before they made a deposit. A good friend of ours, Jason Lowe, said that to me one time, and I thought, man, he's so right. Where a true great relationship is, I'm going to give you 100% of everything I have, and you're going to give me 100% of everything you have. And when we do that, it comes out to be a much greater results than just what you can do on your own. And that goes back to we had earlier podcasts where we talk about how is 1 and 1 not 2, but rather 11. And again, you can go back and re-listen to some of our old podcasts around that, but it is so true. And when I look at the system, I look at the stuff that's built, it's holy smokes. There's such synergy with the collaboration that everybody brings. Again, it has to be both ways because if you're just taking it, it turns into a pretty ugly relationship.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. And it just speaks to the collaborative nature that we have here. So, one of our guiding principles is what we call stronger together.
Yeah.
And we saw a huge need, which is why we brought our agencies together. We saw a huge need in the industry. We got a lot of like smaller individual agencies operating at a very high level. Great, nothing wrong with that. But someone's got to think big enough and bring more people together under one roof, one common goal, the strong enough guiding principles, the right core values to build something big enough for us to actually have an impact in our industry. We cannot accomplish very much if everyone stays individual. And we are attracting those other like minded individuals who want to be a part of something much, much larger than themselves. And our 10-year goal is to have 5,000 agents here being powered by Factum, moving towards one common mission, which is to serve 1 million clients.
Yeah, just that idea of how do we serve 1 million clients? That's such a huge, audacious goal that it almost like it's hard even to put your arms around, but it's exciting, right? And this is, I think back to, we're big IBC practitioners and we have a passion for doing IBC. It's not that's our only focus, but it is our only focus. And I remember Nelson, when you're still alive, talking about getting the 10%. If you can get 10% of the population doing this thing of IBC and thinking about how we can do this at the you and me level, at using like-minded people using contracts to achieve what we're trying to achieve, we can change the world. And he was such a believer in that. And it seemed like a crazy, outrageous goal at the time when he first brought it up. Now I'm looking at it, I was like, it seems so doable because conditions have changed, people's mindsets are changing, and we're starting to see this compound effect happening faster and faster all the time. When we look across social media and we look at some things that are happening out there, it's happening. And so I'm super excited about it. And again, just being with alignment with, like I said, with the people that belong to the Nelson Nash Institute, because they have that similar vision, and we all pull together and we all kind of unmask ourselves and say, hey, we're all part of the same group. All of a sudden now you start getting this huge inertia going.
Yeah, and it's that leads us to one of the next qualities that most of our agents possess is they have a strong passion and desire to teach the infinite banking concept. I'll say the right way.
Yeah.
There is a lot of noise, man. We see it on the marketing and everything else, social media. And most people, I think they mean well. They're really trying their hardest. But one of the things I was blessed with our interaction, our collaboration, is you helped scrub some of that language out of my vocabulary. And so, because some of the things that I was teaching with IBC earlier on in my career, that's the way I was taught. You helped me reframe those, and we have a much more pure message now that's more in line with the proper way to teach and educate on infinite banking. So we're very protective of the Nelson Nash Institute, the IBC practitioner program as well, just because you got a lot of people borrowing Nelson's message without giving proper credit, and then they kind of do a one-off spin, and it can get a little bit dangerous and a little bit crazy with some of the strategies we've come across. And so most of the people that are coming to us, they also have this strong passion to teach IBC the right way, which is why we find a lot of agents through the Nelson Nash Institute as well, because they know we have a strong training program.
Yeah. And part of that is not just hurts the individual client, it hurts our industry.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, that's our biggest fear. And that's one of the biggest threats we see on the horizon. Man, what people saying, and again, this goes back to community. We're trying to build a community of, hey, let's make sure that everything I do, because I know it affects you, is being done at a super high level, because I don't want to negatively impact you or somebody else that's in the business trying to do good with their clients. I mean, think about the tremendous amount of death benefit and all the guarantees you have with whole life. I don't want that undone because somebody was saying something that's not true. So we need to make sure we have clean language, we have clean purpose and clean cause when we're having this interaction with our clients. And so that's part of the community that we're trying to build too, because really what we want is we want people that are taking a transformational approach versus just transactional approach. And I think there's a big difference there, because I want to transform the industry. I want to transform so many people's lives that they're going to look and say, holy smokes, these guys over at Factum made a huge impact, because it has to be transformational. It can't be transactional.
Such a good point, and it's perfectly in line how we coach and train agents here with how we would coach and train a client learning about IBC. Now, we have another podcast. If you're listening to this and you're an agent, we've got another podcast called Beat the Bank, and that is a client-facing conversation on whole life, how to implement IBC the proper way, all the ins and outs of everything in that process. And what we teach there is that it has to be a mindset shift first. Like IBC in its form is a mindset and paradigm shift that you have to have. You have to transform from the old way you used to do things and think into a new version of yourself. And then from there are systems and processes you want to follow. And lastly, there's a product at the end. And when you put all those ingredients together, you get something that we would call infinite banking. And so just like it's transformational for clients, we take the same approach with agents. Agents come to us because they're looking to transform. Maybe they've been a solo agent for 10 or 15 years, whatever. Maybe they want to scale into a coach, a mentor, grow a team, and act like a CEO. Well, we've got the entire curriculum there to take someone from a brand new agent to a multi-million-dollar CEO position. But most people don't have that structure, that path to follow. So they just kind of do what they've been doing. And so when they come over here, we have a transformational approach and program that they can tie into with proven results that if they just follow the system and model, they'll have the same results.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, I think back when I first started in the business, which was a lot of years ago, so my memory isn't always that sharp. But the point I remember is you just didn't know what you didn't know. And you were thrown into like, just go see more people. And you probably heard the same exact thing, right? Go see more people. And what does that mean? And there was no structure to it. There was no purpose, no roadmap, as it were. And what I'm so excited about where we're at right now is we've built a system where people can just come in and say, I want to go there. You can be an individual agent. You can be somebody that wants to, be a mentor, share some of the knowledge and the wealth of information that's in your head. You want to coach, whatever it might be. But there's a process. There's already a system in place where somebody doesn't have to plug in at the bottom and then figure out, okay, how do I put together a marketing system? How do I put together a policy service team? How do I put together, there's 5 or 6 areas that we've kind of addressed. And you don't need to figure all that out. It's already there. You just have to plug in and get into a level, 3 type of business immediately without having to try to scale.
And I think it's that cost of acquisition that when I'll say if a brand new agent in the business, nothing against them, but they just don't have enough perspective to realize certain things. If we show a brand new agent our current system, they kind of just expect the rest of the life insurance industry has these same things waiting for them at any other agency. But what we found is the agents that are consistently producing 200, 400 plus per year, that's in commissions, when they see our operation, their jaws hit the floor because they're like, oh my gosh, this is the stuff that we were about to go launch. One, we had no idea how to do it because it is difficult to scale while you're building infrastructure, while you're still selling insurance. It's very difficult to do all those things simultaneously. And that cost of acquisition is also very high, which is why a lot of agents will just stop as soon as they're maxed out on their personal production. They're not going to grow a team. It's very costly to go find the right operators to do all these other things in the business. We've got that waiting for agents, and the people that are in it, they've been working with us for 5 years already. We've built it from the ground up. They're so good at it that the cost of acquisition of training someone new and keeping them with the right mindset of IBC is very difficult to find those people in the big wide world.
Yeah. And it's the unknown too, right? So they might even say, and how much, I think back to how much experimentation have you done or I've done with systems, let's just talk CRM, just as a simple one, because everybody that's probably listening to this podcast that's an agent has had this struggle. They go, I need a CRM. So they start, no, that's not it. So they spend a couple $1,000, all the time and effort and frustration to build it, back out, start again, do the same thing, back out, start again. The point where maybe they spend, even with time and actual dollars spent, $50,000, $100,000 before they're even going down a pathway. But so just take a step back and just imagine if a system is like, okay, we got the CRM built for you. We have a process for bringing referral clients to the table, a process for doing the underwriting, a process to help you grow to that next level if you want to train agents. All these things are in place. All you have to do is say, hey, I want part of that. I want to be part of that culture now. It's not for everybody because, again, we're building a culture that's built on like-minded people. Again, right. You have to be transformative and not just look at it as a transaction.
Absolutely. And we know the stats for the success rate of new insurance agents entering this business. upwards of 80% of them will fail and exit the business in their first 24 months. I don't know the exact number, Wade, but what would you guess the number of agents that succeed? So let's call it the 20% that succeed. How many of them do you think grow and scale into a 7-figure operation? Because they've built the systems, the operations, they've got the new business division, policy services, all of that built.
You're going to be at 1% or less.
So we're talking, I would say, the 5 to 10% of the 20% that succeed, somewhere in that realm.
Right.
And that's what we have here. So when agents see that are producing 250, 500, somewhere in that range, they see this, they know this is their golden ticket to go to $1 million. Yeah. More importantly, you can go to $1 million in a lot quicker time frame with way less out-of-pocket cost because we've already absorbed that cost of acquisition here at Factum. Yeah. This actually excites you and I to build something like this. How many agents have we talked to, Wade, that are like, I can't train agents any longer, or I won't train. I tried it for 6 months. I tried it for 1 year. It drives me crazy. But a guy like you live to pour into other agents and train and coach them. But you have to have the right mindset for it and the right system to back up the infrastructure. And that's what we've built here.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing the things that really a lot of what I call high-end producers, right? They have their own agency. They know they want to grow. They know they can't grow further than where they're at right now because they need support and they need a team around them. But they don't want to take the time because it's so costly. I mean, when you think about it, you get to a certain level in your business, your time now becomes super valuable. And you understand that the billable hours idea, right? Are you billing out at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 an hour? Well, when that's the case, how much time do you want to take a step back to figure out a training program? Or just even spend time with somebody that you know you need in order to scale your business. It just becomes this catch-22. So they hit that ceiling and they just don't go any further. And so my passion, your passion, I know, is give them the ability to go beyond what they can do by themselves. And that's really the purpose of what we mean by Powered by Factum, is providing a ton of resources, a ton of tools, because you can go out and grow your business to the scale that you want without having to give up all that lost opportunity cost. And this goes back to conversation I've had is like, producers that look at this and say, what's my net revenue? How does it help my net income? That's at the end of the day, that's the most important part. They can grow. And if their net income is growing, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I think agents tend to get so focused on commission splits. And I would say that poor insurance agents or that have a scarcity mindset are very focused on commission splits. What's the commission split? Can I get an 80% contract, a 90% contract? In reality, the only thing they really care about is, did their net income increase from last year to this year? Yeah. The net income is the only piece that matters. And that is something we can absolutely help an agent do through the systems and processes, coaching and training we have, and even our profit share model, part of building a mutually owned insurance agency. So, Wade, what do you think if I was an agent searching out there for a new home? Maybe I'm listening to this podcast and I'm not feeling 100% fulfilled in my life, or I feel like there's something bigger out there for me. How would someone know if Factum is the right fit for them?
Well, I think it really starts with, they might have a compelling vision, but they have no idea how to get there. And they want to be part of something bigger to support where they're going. So that's where I would start. Do you have a compelling vision of what you truly can be and what you want to become? In Nelson's book, we say this quite often, is like, becoming is probably the biggest word in becoming your own banker. Well, becoming is the same thing with becoming your own business owner. You have to become somebody that you're not today in order to get there. And do you have that ability? Do you have that support? And do you have that vision and structure around you to help make that happen? The community to make that happen. And another thing that what I see a lot of groups is that they don't have the training and coaching platform to make it happen, because it's so time consuming, so expensive to happen. They're like, I'll just do what I'm going to do. We're going to go out and produce what we're going to produce, and we're going to be happy with that. And they get frustrated. They hit that ceiling, and that's where they're stopping at. And I see those are people that are drawn to us because they want to get to that next level, but they don't want to take the time to get there because it's so dang expensive. And they really have a feeling like they're meant for more. This is a lonely business out here. And I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, you've been down that pathway, Kyle. I've been down that for a lot of years. When you're a one-man shop, it's a lonely place. And what I mean by lonely is like, you got to make every decision. You have to make every mistake on your own. So what's nice about a community is like, you don't have to make those mistakes on your own. and you have people to make you much better and push you to make you much better and much greater than you can do it on your own.
I think another one too, Wade, is just the systems and structure, the
Yeah.
operational infrastructure you need to have a business that's going to do multiple millions per year.
Right.
But our leadership team is there to serve agents. So we have an entire operational staff that their sole purpose is just to bring value to the front lines. And I think this is a big piece a lot of agencies struggle with, and it's why they can't retain good talent long enough. This is why I had to leave my old agency too, because we got to a point where we couldn't learn anything else. We were asking questions, and the response to us was, you don't need to know that about the business. Keep doing what you're doing. That's not an environment that's conducive to maximum potential growth. And so I had to leave. And that's one of the reasons why we started Factum, is to build a place for insurance agents that their vision would fit inside a much, much larger vision that is so big that they could have anything they could ever imagine within this hub, this powered by Factum idea. And there's so much value here that we've built that most agencies, their value proposition is just not as high for what their contract levels are permitting. And that's when an agent will leave.
Yeah.
But because we have our profit share model and our CEO model will teach you how to become a CEO in this industry, there's so much room to grow here. And our agents love that there's a step-by-step process on, if you're a brand new agent, let's transition you to a mentor, to a coach, to a team leader, run a business, an actual business as a CEO that you could step away from, and it's going to work with or without you. That's a model I just have not seen in our industry. And it's why we have close relations with Keller Williams right now as well. We're using them as a template to build what they built in the real estate space. We're just going to do it for the life insurance realm.
Yeah, and you think back, you made a really good point, is that let's go back to the cash flow quadrants. We love Robert Kiyosaki, and part of his conversation is the cash flow quadrants. And right there, where we're talking about, are you self-employed? Or are you really running a business? And that's the big key.
Yeah, I would say most insurance agents are self-employed, and we've got the structure here to help them run an actual business. But I would say the most important piece is just our community. Anyone can have great systems and processes. Anyone can have great content, a great compensation plan. But at the end of the day, it is our community that's centered around creating abundance in all 5 areas of life that's been so attractive to people coming to us. And that's what really sets us apart. We are here to grow in the spiritual area, the personal, the family, our occupation. And the only reason we teach people how to win financially is to go fund their missions in the other areas of life. That's the piece that's really brought the right people to us, because that involves pretty much every conversation we ever have here at Factum, is creating abundance in all areas of life. And it's that community of go-givers and people chasing that abundant version of themselves that becomes such an addictive environment for growth, happiness, fulfillment. Like when we show up at let's just say a truth concepts training or the NNI, our group is loud, we're happy, we're having fun. You don't see that with most insurance teams. I mean, insurance does have a stereotype, and it's pretty dang accurate, right? It's some older white guys that we were just joking about this. And we have a young, lively, very diverse group here of just good people who are go-givers, who are chasing abundance.
And I think that's probably at the end of the day, that's probably the part of the community that at least I see most organizations missing, is like, it's not just one area. We know, both you and I know people that are super successful, uber successful in what they're doing, but they have a terrible family life, or their spiritual life is in shambles, whatever it might be. And it's got to find that balance. And not even call it balance, just abundance in all those areas. And we focus on that to create this great community. Hey, I understand you got to do sprints in areas, you got to spend family time, you got all those things. And how do we incorporate that? And how do we work with that? And we start with that premise. And that's the differentiator amongst what I think Factum has offered versus really anybody else out there.
I could not agree more. So if you enjoyed this podcast today, make sure to subscribe so you can get more future podcast episodes. And we also have a ton of resources directly on our website, factumfinancial.com. We have an entire video series for clients about IBC. We're releasing our new agent training platform too on our Factum University. That'll be done in Q1 of 2024. So we've got lots of resources. Reach out to us, stay connected. We'd love to have you be a part of this community.
Thank you, Kyle, for having me.
Thanks, Wade.